Welcome to the Welsh Yogi Podcast. Vishnudaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine.
Okay, so we're going to start. This is season 2 of Welsh Yogi Podcast. So at the minute, you got myself, Gopala, we have Bhakta-rupa, and Peter. So either Peter can take the microphone when needed to speak.
Or I can just go and he can sit here instead of me.
Nah, you got some. I want to hear how your Christmas was.
Oh dear.
And you said you have some realizations to share from, what do you say, putting your hand in the fire?
Yeah, I was speaking to Vamshi just now on the way back from the street. And he was saying that sometimes we have to bake in the fire of material existence for a little while.
Yeah, you're proper baked.
Just to develop some humility. Just to realise that you're not so strong as you think. So I feel like I've had a little bit of time in the oven, so to speak.
I mean, I think you set a good example for someone who wants to, You know, you have, not everyone's going to be a monk and live in the ashram, and then those who go outside and work and also live a spiritual life. Yeah, like Sri Upanishad said, those who can cultivate material and spiritual side by side, and that's true knowledge. And I remember one of our teachers, Vaisheshika Prabhu, saying that, working outside, living in the world and being spiritual at the same time can actually augment your spiritual life rather than just being in the temple all the time, because you see the contrast between spiritual and material.
Totally. And one thing that I'm super grateful for is that spending that time in the ashram, it's allowed me to reframe any negative situation. Like, this is the true wealth of a devotee or someone practicing Krishna consciousness, is that any bad situation, you can reframe it and say, this is Krishna teaching me something. Like, there's some lesson here for me to learn from. Whereas in the material world, if you don't have Krishna or any faith in anything, it just feels like you're being punished mindlessly, You can't really gain anything out of it. It's just, you're just getting crushed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
What did say the other day? Pain for the sake of pain. He was saying pain, if you're not going through it for any higher cause, you don't know why you're going through pain, then, can't remember, he said just pain for the sake of pain, and what's the, you know what I mean? You can't tolerate it.
Yeah, I met Tagnath maybe last week or something, and he said, life is humbling if you let it. It means if something bad happens to you, you can either be humbled by it or you can just defend your position and come up with some philosophy as to why the world is out to get you, or you concoct some reason why there's some injustice happening, or you could just get humbled by it and just let go and just be like, yeah, I am actually just a little soul swimming in a fishbowl year after year. You wish you were here. Is that Pink Floyd? Yeah. But no, it's been interesting, I guess having the training and then stepping out and watching how kind of your material conditioning, if left unchecked, means your mind, the way your mind always just operates, if you're not checking it, it just plays out. You can just watch your material destiny play out. But what I noticed is spiritual life is the process of checking your karma. It's like you're changing your destiny into something much higher by taking shelter of the devotees and how they do things, chanting your mantras, reading the books, having this higher philosophy changes the way your karma plays out. Otherwise, it doesn't take much to just step away from the devotees, not chant as seriously, and then you just watch all of your old habits will flood back in very quickly and you become covered by that curtain. But if I hadn't had that time in the ashram and really in the fire of Krishna consciousness, then I could have easily got swept away with it. But if you give yourself an opportunity to experience Krishna consciousness properly, those memories will be they'll be enough to be oh yeah, this material life isn't it. You know what I mean? The way that I'm trying to, because my nature is I used to play video games, so I started a video game YouTube channel. You know what I mean? I used to get tattoos and go to tattoo shops a lot, and I might have gotten a few tattoos in the past year.
Yeah, but you got a few spiritual tattoos.
Yeah, they're spiritually themed, so at least they're connected. But it's just interesting. Like the mind left unchecked just goes where it was going to go. It's crazy.
Would you get any more tattoos, Peter?
Peter's tatted up.
I don't think I would get any more now.
I always said that.
So do you guys have any New Year's resolutions? 2025?
One second, let me just give Peter the mic.
Well, in the ashram, it's quite easy to kind of come up with a New Year's resolution. I guess just to go deeper in the simple practice that we've already been given. You know, we've got the process there. So I think my resolution is to just try and actually understand what that process is and how I can go deeper in it. You know, but I was doing some research earlier on New Year's resolutions in general, because it's quite well known that people struggle to follow them and keep them up. And there was a study done into it, and it was saying that because 40% of all people's activities throughout their day are just based on their habits, which are ingrained, when they come up with the New Year's resolution, they may stick to it for some time, but in the end it's their habits which are built into their day which prevail, you know, which you break through and stop them from achieving those goals. So I was just wondering if we could, I mean, how do we overcome those, you know, deeply ingrained habits, you know, that are just 40% of all we do, you know?
Because we've gone out of the habit of the jiu-jitsu, haven't we?
Yeah.
That was
we were going to jiu-jitsu I was going religiously. I was like 3 times a week.
Are we going back?
We definitely have to go back and achieve the blue belt. But yeah, it's the habits. Yeah. It's like that lethargy.
Because they say habits is something like, because habits are powerful, right? Because we talked about this before. Because they can run your life for you, which is why they can be really good or really bad, because they're hard to create. But once they've created, then they do it automatically. But then obviously it's hard to break. So what do they say to create habits? Like you have to do it for 28 days or something like that.
Yeah.
So which is why, like, if you could focus on developing good habits, then if you have enough good habits, and they can just run your life for you. That's what I mean. Like, you know, if you think about, okay, I want to create a New Year's resolution, then, you know, if we talked about, like, some of the devotees have, but, you know, I have habit share. So, you know, you create habits, you write it down specifically. Okay, this is what I got to do. And then once you've done it, you tick it off. And two very good things for habits is keeping track and sharing it with someone. So if someone else has this habit share app, then you can share each other's habits, you know?
It's got that accountability.
Exactly, yeah. So it's like specific. So it's like, okay, if I want to go, like someone else told me the other day, one of their New Year's resolutions is to be nicer, which is a nice one. And so, okay, practically.
How do you quantify that?
Exactly. How do you quantify anything? How do you quantify, okay, I want to go deeper in spiritual life? Exactly. And I think being specific, measured, accountable, and time-bound, you know. So that's why this habit share is good, because it's like, okay, yeah, be specific. I want to go do this every day or every couple of days. Make it realistic, and share it with someone that, you know, a well-wisher.
Yeah.
I think this is the, you know, keeping track of it and writing things down can be the difference between achieving something or not, you know, measuring it.
It's interesting, like, because when we think about a New Year's resolution, you have to take a step back and look at the picture of your life a bit. Call it New Year's resolution, but or visualizing your future, whatever. But like, I was speaking to some really clever guy. I told you I had that YouTube channel.
Me?
Not you, no, definitely not you. But no, I had this YouTube channel with video games, and there's like quite a lot of clever people on there, nerds. But I spoke to this guy, and he's genius, and he's talking about like how he always wants to know why, like with his system, like he's always looking at systems throughout his whole like career. He's talking about his job, but throughout his whole career, he's always asked why. So he's been annoying to managers because they're like, "Can you do this?" And he's like, "Why? I want to know the big picture." Blah blah blah. But like, I was thinking, like, as he was talking to me, I was like, because we're devotees, we've got the overarching why. Do you know what I mean? Like, in terms of like, we know why. Like, it's for Krishna, and like, why? What's the purpose of life? Like, it's the biggest why. So like, if all of your habits come out of that big why, then I feel like it's a good thing, you know, like, because that's what Takana said on New Year's Eve. He was talking and he said, when you're doing something, ask yourself, why am I doing this? We don't really do that so often, a lot of us. And if you ask yourself why you are, then you'll be like, wait, why am I doing this? Like, oh yeah, I don't want to be doing this. It's like a...
Yeah, that's one of his new quotes. He likes, who is it? Mark Twain.
Oh yeah.
He's quoting it all the time.
Yeah.
Because it's his new favourite thing.
There's
two. Go on.
I don't know.
Two most important days in your life are the day that you're born and the day you find out why.
Yeah. Why? Do you remember that day you found out why, Gopa?
I'm just trying to think. I think it was probably more gradual. But I think it's like, I guess it was like when you look around, you notice like, okay, I had, you know, I was speaking to one of the new sort of newcomers to Bhakti, or newcomers to Krishna consciousness the other day. And they were saying like, you know, before meeting the devotees or coming to a spiritual community, I think we got quite a nice community here in Wales. You know, like I think most people, they were feeling very lonely. And they've come to this sort of spiritual community, and just for a very short time, like if anyone sort of dips their toes into Krishna consciousness, like very radically and very quickly, your life can really change to a way that is actually quite shocking when you look back, you know, and you almost don't notice it happening, you know, but the purification of heart and consciousness is so powerful that it's like, what, you know. Anyway, so they go over Christmas, and their mother looks on our Instagram, or Radhi's Instagram, which I think is called The Soft Hearted, right? And she's scrolling down and she sees all the pictures of the community, all the devotees of the community. And she goes, well, who is this? And who is that? And who is this? And this devotee saying, well, this is such and such, and that's such and such, and this is such and such. And this, you know, this new Bhakti yogi realized like, wow, I know all of these devotees and how amazing they all are as persons. And he's just had this realization that I have so many new friends now. And all the devotees are just special characters, like, you know, have all come together for the cause of, come together because of Krishna. You know, and it was just such a beautiful realization. So it's like, and that's another thing, is like one, you know, if like Srila Prabhupada said, if the meaning of life is to be happy, like, you know, everyone's looking for happiness. So, but you don't know how to be happy, he said, right? So this is my train of thought. I haven't really, but I'm thinking like, so one is finding out why. But finding out why is like you get asking for knowledge. Like Krishna says, there's different kinds of people who come to God in spiritual life. Those who are distressed, those who are looking for wealth, those who are just inquisitive, and those who just really want to know why. But very quickly, when they come to Krishna, all of those people, they start to become purified and they just fall in love with Krishna. So why? So then the why becomes, there's a reason why we exist, etc. But the why is because I become so happy by giving love to others and by giving love to Krishna. So it's like you're looking for freedom from distress. You're looking for the answers of why am I here? But then what you find while searching there is you find Krishna and you find a spiritual family. You find deep emotions of love that you didn't expect to find. You know, I heard someone say the other day that if you feel happiness, like if you listen to a song, he said if you listen to just a happy, he was a materialist, but he was saying a happy song is just elevator music. Like if you're going to sit down and listen to a happy song, after a while it gets, you know, if you think about truly powerful songs, like you just quoted Wish You Were Here by Pink Floyd, you know, it's not a happy song.
It's wretched heartbreak.
But these emotions are powerful. And if you think about the most powerful emotions that truly move us, you can have the whole different kinds of emotions, but they're tied to a type of profoundness, you know. And I think the art of connecting everything to Krishna is that you find a kind of love and happiness that you never expected to find. And all different emotions are there, but they're completely saturated with a kind of flavor that's free from the material contamination that's just so distasteful to the eternal soul. So yeah, I can't remember the day when you know what I mean? Like, I always believed in God. I watched a documentary called Christspiracy as well.
There we go.
And I also found something else. Sorry, go ahead.
We talk about the conspiracies in a bit. Just thinking on what you just said was quite interesting. Like, you're talking about the soft-hearted Instagram channel.
Yeah.
And all of the different devotees. And I noticed, like, when you're with the devotees, you're opened up to these experiences that you're talking about, these feelings, the love, the kirtan, the prasadam, so on. But then very quickly and trickily, material energy can, like, split you off from the devotees.
Trickly, so it trickles in.
Trickle, like insidious, you know, like little. Yeah. So, like, it can get you and it can pry you away from the devotees. And you're away from, if you stay away from devotees for long enough, then all of the old habits, they're very deeply ingrained. It's kind of like what we opened up on. It's like they say it's your prarabdha karma, isn't it? Like, your manifested, like this body that we have and this mind that we have and this material situation we find ourselves, it's there. You hang out with devotees, you elevate yourself above that. If you get tricked away from the devotees, all that stuff starts playing out. Like, I feel like those habits are the ones that are... Is there within the Krishna conscious philosophy, is there a way to rewire those habits? Like, is there a time when your material situation becomes insignificant or doesn't have that grip on you that it might when you first come to the spiritual life?
So this is have I read this before? This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so I'll give some quotes, right? And I think this is to do what you say. The word
Christspiracy. I thought we were going to start talking about something random.
There's a documentary about Jesus being a vegetarian. And he was a vegetarian. That's my conclusion now. Anyway, the word Anishvara indicates that because of one's past sinful activities and bad habits, one may not immediately be able to completely extinguish the enjoying spirit. The Lord here encourages such a devotee to not be overly depressed or morose, but to remain enthusiastic and to go on with his loving service. Because of previous bad habits and immaturity, even a sincere devotee may be harassed by lingering attraction to the bodily concept of life. But his unflinching devotion for Lord Krishna will act. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur gives the following two examples. A great warrior may be struck by the weapon of his enemy, but because of his courage and strength, he is not killed or defeated. He accepts the blow and goes on to victory. Similarly, one may contract a serious disease, but if he takes the proper medicine, he is quickly cured. If those who follow the impersonal system of speculation and austerity deviate even slightly from their path, they fall down. A devotee, however, even though immature, never falls from the path of devotional service. Even if he displays occasional weakness, he is still considered a devotee if his devotion to Lord Krishna is very strong. So Krishna explains that, yeah, it's almost expected. If you're a practicing devotee, and there's another, I could read more, but if you're a practicing spiritualist in the path of devotion, he said, yeah, due to immaturity sometimes and the previous bad habit, then those bad habits may push back and then one might have some accidental mishap. Or as Prabhupada says, something that might disturb their wholesome condition. But Krishna says, you should actually, don't worry about it, carry on, be enthusiastic, which is the hardest thing to do. You know, if you do something wrong and you feel bad, the easiest thing to do is become thoroughly depressed. And the hardest thing in the world is to carry on and be enthusiastic and be happy. But Krishna says that's what you got to do. You got to be happy. You got to be enthusiastic. You got to carry on. You know, just dust yourself off, pick yourself up, and carry on. You know, and so I think that's I think it's natural, especially in beginning stages of devotion, that sometimes because of, we've been in this material universe for millions of lifetimes. This lifetime, okay, I want to go home. I want to get out of this material world. That's a courageous thing. You're really swimming upstream in this materialistic day and age. And if there's some temporary bad habits that start flooding back, then you just notice them, shake them off, and carry on and chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Keep calm, carry on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, so I guess our like when we have to kind of fortify ourselves against that situation. Like, we have to, when we're like, if you're talking about New Year's and habits and forming like positive habits which help you to strengthen your position, ready for those times where you slip and slide. Like what are some examples of some like good habits that someone who is listening could implement, like for their habit share, or like what's something that could help them in their spiritual life?
Well, I mean, I've got some. I mean, I can share just some of the ones I do, but sorry, I keep getting told to go closer to the microphone. I mean, obviously, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day, some number, and I mean, I have some of the things I check off is like I make sure I read a bit of spiritual knowledge every day. A certain amount, and I have tick that off. My day's not complete unless I've ticked my habits off. So you just, the drops of water wear away the stone. So a little bit done incrementally, causes much more sort of change than doing one thing big one day and then doing nothing for the rest of the week. So you find, whatever suits you, you do one little step. And then Krishna reciprocates then. So you just do one, so it can start by, like, His Holiness Devamita Swami, who's one of the most advanced spiritualists, one of our gurus. He started by just chanting one bead every day. He'd pick up a bead and he'd chant the mantra once. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And that was it. That was his chanting for the day. And then he'd read Srimad Bhagavatam.
If only.
Yeah. But it shows just whatever you start.
Yeah.
So I can't. But if anyone wants to get in touch and meet, and like I said, that's why we have devotees here. We're always trying to help each other. Just come and say, look, how can I advance in spiritual life? And then everyone's different, but we'll try our best to help you.
Yeah, from my thing, like, because I've been asking devotees, like senior devotees like Tarakanath, like, how can I advance in spiritual life? What do I need to readjust? And he keeps bringing it back to just the real basics. It's like, wake up early, chant, come to the temple as much as you can, like as much as can fit into your week. You should be in the temple as much as you can, because then you're getting that inspiration from other people swimming upstream too. Come to the Bhagavatam class in the morning. That's a hack.
Spiritual life is very hard, if not impossible, on your own.
Yeah. Literally. But yeah, it's not impossible. That's what it says. Prabhupada says, isn't it? Like, if you're in a weird situation where you live in a cave, then you can make it happen. But we're in Wales. Like, if you are serious about this, just move to Cardiff. Just like move close to the temple. Like, if you're listening and you're like, yeah, I feel like I'm not getting I'm not going as quick as I can, get next to the temple.
And if you can't get next to the temple, if you absolutely can't, get in contact with us and we'll come to you.
Yeah, that's true. We will come.
The mountain will go to Muhammad.
But it's nice. It's really simple spiritual life, isn't it? Just hear, read, chant, hang out with devotees. It's all a nectar of instruction. Love and exchanges. So yeah, what are you saying? Do you want the mic? Wait there.
I was just going to comment that online it raised some interesting points about why, people's general resolutions like fail. And one of them was, it says, lack of planning. Without a plan, a goal is just a wish. And I thought that was quite like quite profound, you know, like without planning, a goal is just a wish. You can set so many of these goals, but without planning or like knowing how to plan, then they never come to fruition. And it's so amazing about like texts like Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita is they lay out the plan for you. They give you a plan which you can follow, a process which you can follow. There's other ones like goals are too vague. Many people set goals they're too general. They're not a specific, which is what you were talking about earlier, about having a quantifiable goal, right? So you need to know, you know, it needs to be like detailed, and otherwise, you know, it's either too vague or there's just no planning. So they just, you know, you set yourself up for a failure. I just thought that was...
Yeah, because just a bit of planning, like it gives power to people's lives again. You know, like you can change your life. It's not just like you're helplessly being pushed. You can by the material world. You can like, you know, I say that's the powerful thing. If you like the Vedic literature says, if you are conscious, so if you can read this, then you have the power to become perfect in this life. You know, if you're a human being, that's enough. Yeah. I'm a human being, therefore I can improve, because that's what life's meant for. Yeah. So creating that, and just sometimes all it takes is just a little bit of, just be a little bit specific, and even if it's something small, but then sometimes if you achieve something small, and I've done that for, you know, I've done something small, but I've managed to do it for 28 days in a row. You achieve, like, you feel like you've conquered a mountain. Yeah. Because you think, okay, yeah, I've, you know, and that is powerful.
It's amazing. The power of putting pen to paper. You know, like you're saying planning, like something small. Like the other day I was like feeling, like what you said, it's just a dream, or like, it's just a goal is just a dream or whatever. I just went down to this coffee shop down here, had a hot chocolate, with a pen and paper, and just wrote everything that I needed to do. And like, this is all I need to do right now. And like, and I haven't even got to the point where I'm visualizing where I want to go, but just the act of writing it all down. Like I left that shop, I was walking down the street and I just felt very like uplifted, like I'd made a move in the right direction. So it can be simple like that, isn't it? Like writing things down is a very deliberate, like it's a deliberate act. Like you're taking it out of it's going from, what's it say in the Gita? Like, determination and mode of ignorance is just a dream.
Doesn't go past the point.
Doesn't go past dreaming. But mode of passion is like intense endeavor. So at least we're getting into that passion where we're just writing things down. Like I need to do this, 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 and this. It's like just writing it down is lifting you up a little bit. And
and it takes it from the ethereal world, because things can be so big in your head. You know what I mean? All your problems, and writing it down is like, oh yeah, I can tackle this.
It's just a checklist.
You know what I mean? What was it previously? Just you know,
smoke in the air.
Yeah. I can now tackle this. Like, yeah, I can now just read it out, and. Yeah. But I mean, a lot of the time problems can be solved just by chanting Hare Krishna.
For sure.
Yeah.
I went back for Christmas to the family, and my mother's, I guess he's my stepbrother now. My mother just got married this year. My stepbrother, he's doing a PhD in Cardiff Uni.
What's he studying?
In psychology. And he's studying the power of visualization. So he's from the farms in West Wales. So he's going to farmers and talking about this idea of visualizing where you want to be, and he's studying the effect on how that has on them in the present. But it was just very interesting. It's a theme. It came up before. Remember when we talked about the anti-vision?
Oh yeah.
So you visualize everything you don't want to be, and then you invert it. But I've been getting into this idea of actually, or just this process of just sitting down, not doing anything, but just visualizing. What do I want to look like in 10 years, 5 years, 10 years? It's like being more deliberate about where do I want to go? Because I realize if I'm not visualizing it, then I'm just going to go wherever my mind takes me. So it's like sitting down and actually building a vision for yourself. And then, because this is how Team Sky, they won loads of Tour de France's really quickly, suddenly. And my dad used to watch cycling, both of us did, and he was watching a documentary about how Team Sky became so successful, and their leader, I forget his name, but he basically did that. He visualized, we want to win the Tour de France in 2006 or whatever, and then he literally went backwards and like did the steps backwards, what it would look like, and then they just started executing forward from there, and they literally did it. Like, so it's like
that's what you did in the GPC course. As a group, you had to visualize where you wanted to be, but you did it physically, like, and then you all stepped back. And they said, actually, they did it in like but they did it a little bit different. They did it in activities. Activities, and then like, what you needed to do those activities or whatever, But it's a similar sort of thing.
yes.
And you also, I was reading earlier as well, one of Shiv Ramaswamy's books. I was reading he's talking about quite esoteric, deep devotional stuff. But it was like, it's always good, I'm not on that level. I'm not spiritually advanced enough to, for what on the stages that that they were discussing. But it was nice to see, like, this is the goal, to be ultimately completely in love with Krishna. And he would say, even when one's an advanced practitioner, might not be fully self-realized, but they're an advanced practitioner, there's a type of meditation that they do on their spiritual form, even when they haven't realized it, as an example given by one of the great teachers, Bhakti-rupa Thakur. So this idea of, in spiritual life, even visualizing, where do you want to be? I want to be in love with Krishna, because it's very spiritual life is very scientifically set out. There's different stages, and the advanced stage is discussed. So knowing what the advanced stage is and thinking, I want to be there one day, and this is how to get there. I think, just your point, spiritual life should also be very driven. And if we can really investigate, what is spiritual life? What's the real goal of spiritual life? And then really, really go for it. It's like if you want to be a champion in anything, or if you want to be perfect and stuff. Like if you want to analyze, if you want to be a PhD in understanding what an atom is, you have to go through years of school, secondary school, then university, then PhD. You've got to do years of study. And that's to understand the smallest thing in this universe. So if you want to understand the greatest thing in this universe, if you want to understand God, then it's going to take, it's not a quick thing. Give it time. Give it time, give it investigation, dedicate some of your life to understanding the most wonderful thing in reality.
Why not? No?
Krishna. Peter?
I'm just wondering.
Wait there.
I'm just wondering, where does the tendency to fall into like an autopilot state in spiritual life? Why does that come about? Where does that come from? When we've been practicing, but we can slowly kind of go into this lifestyle where we realize we're actually just going through the motions, and we've sort of lost the kind of personal connection with our practice. Like we have this tendency to become familiar and fall into this almost like autopilot state. So I'm just wondering, how does that come about in spiritual life? Where does that?
I mean, Bhakta-rupa, do you want to say anything?
Just reminds me of the thing you read on New Year's Eve.
Yeah,
it's like
say similar thing.
Like if your chanting isn't very intentional and planned and like serious and attentive, then it all becomes pretty disconnected, isn't it? Like if you got to put the chanting nice, you got to get the chanting nice, and then it won't be so automatic.
Yeah, it's a relationship. Yeah, and I think, and spiritual life is all about developing that relationship with Krishna. So chanting the holy name and doing service. So there's some. So I think naturally through the process of purification, and the heart will go through stages, and one of the stages, as we start to sort of, get clean this material dust off our heart, is this feeling of indifference. Yeah. And I think, and that indifference to Krishna, this is why in the material world, this is why sort of like impersonalism and trying to merge, and this sort of spiritual life is that sort of spiritual path is, ultimately not conducive, because, the opposite of love isn't hate. The opposite of love is indifference. Yeah. But like with any relationship, like Krishna is also very sensitive to those who are trying to, go back home, back to him. So, that's why like being with practicing spiritual life with devotees, we'll get reminded. Krishna will arrange for us to get reminded, and if we carry on chanting the mantra, then eventually our heart starts to soften, and then feelings of sort of healing, but like loving regret, that's described in the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Narottam Das Thakur. Our heart becomes saturated with these feelings of wait a minute, I've come to this material world, I turned away from Krishna. Why have I turned away from Krishna? These feelings of love in a feeling of separation will start to consume the heart, and then they'll empower our spiritual practices. Which is why even in like beginning practicing stages, cultivating a feeling of separation is always conducive. And tomorrow, after our little marathon festival in the evening, we'll carry on reading Sankalpa Kamodi, and there's a section there where Shiv Ramaraj is talking about, the benefits of this, part of sadhana, part of practicing spiritual life. I have to keep changing my terminology, but practicing spiritual life is, this feeling the gap. I'm here, Krishna's there. There's a gap between where I am and where I want to be. And feeling that gap is always conducive for advancing a spiritual life.
That's the best thing. If you have fallen away from spiritual life, then great, because you can probably squeeze out a tear on it. Like I know whenever I'm freaking tripping up and falling, it's like tears come out. You know what I mean? Like if everything's tickety-boo, then try crying. You don't care. You're just eating prasadam and selling books.
Gaur Govinda Maharaj said, the Hare Krishna movement is a crying school. Where we learn how to cry for Krishna.
Those tears are awesome. You know what I mean? Like when you feel like a wretched fella, that's the whole point. That's what humility is. It's like, I'm not the center of reality. I'm weak. Like.
Yeah, it says true humility, or dainya, which is humility, but one feels themselves. This is really hard to understand. This isn't like a low self-esteem. Sometimes low self-esteem and pride are sort of the same, different sides of the same coin. But this is a type of humility because one has so much love for Krishna. And so like, because you have so much appreciation and love for everything else, you feel very, very small. Such a person is actually filled with all excellences, but because they're so selfless and their appreciation power is just so infinite that like I'm speaking to you, and because you're a soul and because you're part of Krishna, I have so much love and appreciation for you that myself, no matter how amazing that person might be, is like, almost, do you know what I mean? Like it's the difference between I'm amazing and you're small. It's like you are phenomenal and I can't believe how amazing you are. And that's a type of, so that dainya, it's called in Sanskrit, humility and prema, or real spiritual love. It said they're so connected that they're almost the same thing. Someone who's truly advanced spiritually, they feel themselves lower than all other living beings, even though they're exalted. It's like, I don't know how to explain it. We had Christmas recently, so like, I guess you can sort of see it in the character of Jesus Christ, where he would wash the feet of people who would be considered lowlifes, but he would be so humble. He'd wash their feet, and he would embrace those that other people would consider untouchable. And if you think about it, those sort of qualities should be appreciated by everyone. Such a person is so attractive. Wow, that person has so much love for everyone, and they put everyone before themselves. You know what I mean? But it's materially it's hard to understand. And I think even I don't fully understand, like it's hard the humility of someone. Do you know what I mean? Like you have the greatest, those who are the greatest feel themselves to be the least great. And it's not a type of material, low self-esteem. It's nothing like that. It's completely different to that, but it's something that might look like that to someone who's not quite trained in seeing what's what. Like,
Yeah, Jesus. Cool. Is that a podcast then?
I think we've... Is that okay, Peter?
Yeah, I was wondering if we wanted to give any like short updates.
Yeah.
About, what's going on and the plans over the year.
The podcast. This podcast is coming out on Sunday. Today is Sunday. Every Sunday this year, after the Sunday program, 6 p.m, there'll be a new podcast released for you. This is our New Year's resolution, right, Gopala?
Yeah. So the podcast will be regular, 2025. Have some more guests. We'll continue an active instruction and we'll work out how to get that to you.
We've got a very qualified producer now.
Yeah.
Like he's got
Mr.
a university degree in podcasting, or audio. So any complaints, Peter Lawrence, send them his way.
Yeah.
Any glory, send it to me and Gopal.
So we've also got those living in Cardiff. So we have a Be a Monk course starting in a week when this releases. We got quite a lot of ladies in, and we got a couple of boys in as well. So there's be quite a few, but still a couple of spaces if anyone wants to join. You
do it.
Yeah. If you want a little taste of spiritual life, then it'd be great. But we've also got, there's a big thing about Atma as well. Cafe Atma, we're going to revamp that. So there's going to be a lot of, so it's closed at the minute. Our Food for Life, so giving meals to those in need, is happening in other locations around Cardiff on different days. I'm sure go online and you can find more about that. And then, but Atma will be reopening very soon, better than ever. We wanted to put some love and attention into it, I think so. And to do that, we thought, okay, let's just close it and let's just redo the whole setup, make it real nice in there again, and revamp it. Sorry?
What?
The new temple.
Peter's talking about a new temple. T. Krishna Kamri's coming soon. I mean, please help. I mean,
give us your money. No, sorry.
We get the keys.
Sorry. cut that out.
No, we do need money to help.
Keep that in.
But we got. I mean, I can't remember if we mentioned, but I went to see the deities recently, so they're ready to be shipped. So we have to work out. I think we might get them shipped to Hungary, and then have these two devotees who are very brilliant artists like do the finishing touches, and then we drive over, pick them up, and drive them back.
Can I come? No.
Yeah, you can come if you want.
I just follow.
Just no talking. And then anyway, so there's lots of exciting stuff happening on the horizon. So was that okay, Peter? Okay, thank you everyone for listening, and we'll be in touch soon. Lots of love. Happy New Year.
Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhakti Vedanta